So, hello everyone, welcome to InnoAgora. Let's take a couple of minutes just to allow everyone to join, and we will be back shortly.
So how is the weather in Greece?
Hot, as
Yeah,
always.
great. I mean, it's not so bad today
No,
in
it's not
Paris.
always great. We need the rain.
Yeah,
It's
I
too
know.
important for us.
Sure.
And how is Paris? Rainy.
No, it's quite sunny. I mean,
Oh,
it's a very good
great.
surprise today. I mean, it's a blue sky. It's not
Yeah.
so cold, and I mean, I went to London also yesterday, and it was great weather as well. So let's see what we will have during for the weekend, always. But no, as for now, it's very nice weather. It's around, let's say, 15, 18 degrees. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
it's
Spring.
good. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, spring indeed. This weekend, indeed, Saturday. Okay, great. So I don't know when you want to start, Elena.
No, okay, we're all set. So hello again. Welcome to today's webinar, How to Pitch in Front of Investors and What are the Best Practices. I'm Elena Karayani, Senior Innovation Officer at the Hellenic Development Bank, and I'm very excited to have you all with us today. As many of you know, HDB is a proud strategic partner of Bpifrance, the public bank for investment in France. And one of the key areas of our collaboration is InnoAgora. InnoAgora is our dynamic matchmaking platform for startups, investors, and ecosystem players, which is hosting on the Euroquity platform. Let me give you some very interesting and very impressive numbers on Euroquity. Euroquity comprises more than 40 online communities, hosts approximately 23,000 companies, 3,000 investors, and 3,000 support organizations such as incubators and accelerators. Now, let me introduce our two fantastic speakers for today. We are thrilled to welcome you both, Claire and Valentin. Claire is a senior venture capital investor at Bpifrance Deep Tech Fund, with a strong focus on scientific innovation and technological breakthroughs. Claire and her team support French startups. The fund invests early from seed to Series C, providing long-term backing to help startups navigate critical phases of development and of course, industrialization. Thank you very much, Claire, for being with us today.
Thank you.
And
You made a perfect explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, Valentin, head of operation at Euroquity Bpifrance. In his role, Valentin has been instrumental in initiatives like the pilot project with the Business Development Bank of Canada. He's also involved in many other European initiatives such as the EIC Scaling Club. He also serves as the investor relations manager at the Euroquity Bpifrance, contributing to the enhancement of the European scale-up landscape. So, before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. The webinar will be recorded and shared afterwards. Feel free to introduce yourself and, of course, submit any questions you have via the chat at any time. We will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. And now, without further delay, let's start. Claire, Valentin, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you so much, Elena, for all of this. So glad to be part of this webinar today with my colleague Claire. So, I mean, we have started a few years ago. I mean, with Claire in the same team, but now we are part of two different departments inside Bpifrance. which is great. So I will have a short presentation for you today. And of course, as Elena mentioned, so feel free to ask any question in the chats, and let's try to have a kind of open discussion. So, okay, I will try to share my screen. Hopefully you can see the slides.
Yes, great.
Okay, perfect. So as Elena mentioned again, so we are part of Bpifrance with my colleague Claire, so the French Public Investment Bank. So from my side, so I'm part of the international and European departments. So you mentioned, Elena, that we are supporting companies, not only French companies in my team, but also European ones. We have also some activities in Africa and Canada. And we are already used to, to connect people. We connect startups to investors, investors to other international investors for co-investment purposes. Then we have also some institutional organizations. So the goal is really to connect people. So to do that, we have the platform, so the matchmaking platform. So we have thousands of companies registered, also some investors from business angel to corporate venture fund. But so that's good to have the online matchmaking platform, but we have to do more. To do that, so we organize also a lot of online pitching session, reverse pitch to showcase top international investors. We organize webinars and so on. So you can get the chance also to look at the platform and register and join the InnoAgora community to be aware of all the additional services. So today I just want to share with you a few slides about the pitch, which is something very important. So in my team, so we organize on average around 80 online pitching sessions per year. So we showcase around 500 to 600 top European companies. And it's always a challenge, for you, for the founders to pitch in front of some investors. So you can pitch in 2 minutes for the elevator pitch session, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So it could be online, on-site, and it's always different. So here are just some basic slide, let's say, but it's always very important to keep it in mind. So when we train some companies, we always recommend to start with the market problem. So it could be a problem or opportunity that you would like to share. And what is really important here to keep in mind is that it's always good also to put some numbers. So I will then also give the floor to my colleague Claire, but I'm sure that she will agree on that. So it's always good to put some key figures about any problem in the market you are targeting. So of course, then come the solution. So again, it could be something very simple, but the goal is really to highlight the value of your company, put some key figures so you can reduce the cost, the time, this kind of thing. And then if you have any example, any, kind of traction, or if you are already dealing with some corporate, you can put some examples. So of course the markets, so you have what we call timestamp sum. So here it's also very important to make sure that you can show to the investor that you know your markets, okay, this is the serviceable, obtainable markets, and we will do that by doing these very specific things. So of course the market is huge. They know that. Investors, they are aware of that. So there are also some, they are experts of the markets you are targeting. So you should show them how you will target it, how you see, what is your vision. So it's a lot about also the people. So something also very interesting, as always, is I really like also this slide, the competitive landscape, because there are so many ways to show it. And maybe Claire, if you want then to interact with me and give also some I don't know, key insights, so feel free to do it. But I really like this one because the goal is not to say, okay, you are the best compared to other people. For me, personal opinion is that you have to explain what is your position, how you compete with other people, in terms of value, impacts. So there are a lot of people doing different things in the same markets, but they don't have the same vision. This is what I said previously. So here it's really important to highlight the value of your company, how you see the markets, how you differentiate from other organizations. So it could be about your technology, but there are different criteria that you can use. So that's why I really like also this example on these figures. It's not to say, okay, we have these features, they don't have it. We have this one, they don't have it. So it's not only about that. So it's really, I mean, because you answer to a problem, a specific issue in the market. So this one is very important. I don't know, Claire, if you have any insight on that, if you want to
add something. Maybe I can complete on that. As an investor within Bpifrance, market is very important. The way you present it, we many times decided not to go further with an investment opportunity because we considered that the market was too small, or because too many competitors were sharing the same market. So as a founder, it's important you can conduct a thorough market sizing just to ensure that there is enough potential for growth, because a small market size may often indicate limited opportunities. I mean, this is our look as investors. And once you have identified your market size, it's also very important to be clear on your value proposition compared to competitors. Because if you have a big market, but you are 10 people doing the same thing the same way, that is also a bad point for us, and that can be a reason why we can just drop an investment opportunity.
So it's all about also added value, so which is always very important. Thank you, Claire. So then, I mean, comes of course the business model, access to markets. So I forgot to mention that we use this kind of presentation in our online pitching sessions with a format of 5 minutes, because of course you can have much more slide if you send the pitch deck to investors. It's something also very different. So again, business model is about the access to market. You need to justify how you will make some money. Is it B2B, B2B2C? Is it a SaaS model? So something that could be very simple, but again, it's always about traction. So very often, I know that the founders say, okay, I need to prove that I already have some traction. So it could be some proof of, some LOIs or any kind of traction to show that there are already some interest from key players in the market, even if you are still early stage. So you can always, I mentioned the letter of interest. So you can always put a few things about traction. So it's not only about contract, but it's about the market, how they see your solution coming in the markets. So then there's something again that I really liked about the roadmap. So it's not really mentioned in this slide, but what I usually recommend for this kind of exercise for the pitching session is to have 2 different roadmap in this slide. So the first one should focus on the product development, and the other one in parallel, you can have like, let's say, commercial roadmap. So you can highlight, okay, now we are in a TRL 3 or 4, I don't know. And then just below, you can also add another line with the, let's say, the commercial roadmap, saying, okay, we already have some letter of interest. Then in 2 years, so we want to have 1 distributor. Then in 5 years, we will have 10 distributors. And you can align also with the product development. So it's always interesting. And again, the goal is really to show that you have kind of traction, but you know the market. So this is what you can see here with the R&D phase. Then you have some beta testers. Then a few years after, you will have the users, and you will get access to the market at this time. So if you have, depending, of course, on your, on your sector, so it could be different if you're a biotech company or, cybersecurity company doing like SaaS models, SaaS platform. So it depends, of course, of your sectors, but keep in mind that traction, development, to show that where you are currently in the market, it's always important. So the financial forecast. So this one, it could be, again, it's really about where you are, if you're early or late stage company, but just show some figures again. So where you stand now and what is your expectation in the coming years. So it will be also very interesting for the question about the valuation of the company. So this is something that we will discuss later with Claire. Of course, the team. So I mean, when you're early stage companies, you don't have a lot of traction, but you can have a lot of key people around the table in your company, also some experts, some advisors. The board of advisors is very important as well. So we really look at the people we have in the company. The gender balance as well for some investors is really important as well. But it's I mean, not always, but very often it's thanks to the people that you can be successful, because you can have two very similar companies but different people. So this is something very interesting and important. So of course, at the end of the pitch, we always recommend to have this kind of slide about your ask. I mean, the fundraising. To be honest, when I coach some companies, I don't know, Claire, what you think about that. I know that we had this discussion a few years ago. So I know that we don't really care about the money you are looking for, if it's like 1 million, 10 million euros. So what we need is to understand where you are right now, what you want to do with the money and how you will use the money. So what are the main metrics that you want to achieve? I mean, at the end of the consumption of the fund, what could be the results? If you're looking for a Series A, you're looking for 5 million euros. Okay, that's great, but to be honest, I don't care. So I really want to know what you will do. It's not to say I need to have like 2 salespeople. So it's really about the metrics, because you know that, I mean, you could have like different business plan with different hypotheses. But at the end, you have to show that you know that you need 5 million because you will use 2 million and a half for sales, because you know that your sales cycle take like 2 months. It costs like 10,000 euros to sign a contract. These are your hypothesis. And thanks to the fund, you will validate them or not. So then it will bring you to the next step, to the next fundraising or to another milestone. But this is very important. So it's not about the amount that you're looking for. It's really about the use of the fund and the metrics behind your business plan. I don't know, Clay, if you want to highlight something.
Yeah, no, but I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, if you're an early stage startup, well, depending on your market, you can look for 1 million of euros or 10 million of euros, but it depends um, of the market you are growing it. And if you're like early stage and you're looking 10 millions to reach, for example, 100 million of euros, and you're today doing zero, it's not a proper way of sizing your financial need, but you should size your financial need regarding of what is your next step and what is the next big thing that you should validate. So, for example, you are now funding your company. Your next big thing is to develop your product. It's to test it on few people, like let's say, I don't know, thousands of people, for example. And you should size like how much time will you need for that? What are the resources you need to achieve this objective? And what is the amount of money you are looking to achieve this objective? I think this is the right way of sizing your financial financing need, and not like going too fast with a too big amount of money from the very beginning.
I agree. Very important. Just as ending slide with some information. So I think that's all for this slide. I have some question also for you, Claire, because we had this discussion. So maybe I can start. I know that there are also some question in the chat, very interesting questions,
Yes.
so we will address them. But maybe just Claire, so we had this discussion about what are the red flags that make you close a deal.
Yeah. Um, I'm thinking of the recent investment opportunities we dropped within our team recently, and the reasons why we actually dropped it. Well, one reason I'm thinking of right now, we mentioned it just before. It's the market size. Um, that was a lot of time the reason why we decided not to go for it, because as venture capital investor, we are taking a lot of risks. So we expect also big return for the risk we are taking. So the market opportunity should be big, because if it's small, we know that we will be limited in terms of opportunity, and that will not make our return. So we need to see big. So this is one of the reason that can be one of the red flag. A second one. I'm thinking of an example right now. I think one of the other reason we can decide to drop is because of poor, blurry explanation on your product, market, or roadmap. I'm thinking of one investment opportunity we recently decided to drop because after 2 or 3 calls, it was still very hard for us to understand what's the product, its differentiation, the market to address, and so on. So we still didn't understand after a few meetings. So we were like, okay, there's also a good chance that his customer will also not be able to understand. So let's not go for it. So I think one advice for that would be to train a lot before you go in front of investors with like your advisors, with your friend and family, and just to make sure that when you explain it, your grandma, could understand it.
Yeah, the children, indeed. And maybe to follow up on what you said, Claire, so there are this question in the chat, which is, okay, I mean, how do investors deal with new market or new products? I know, I mean, in deep tech industry, for example, this is always something that, I mean, kind of question we have. So it's not easy to answer.
No, it's not easy to answer. Yeah, I think like all the project we meet every day, they are all targeting a new market somehow, because they have a very differentiating product. So, but somehow you have to explain it. So yeah, that's pretty hard. But there is 2 way of doing that for me. It's like you can just like go for some market study that exists on your market. For sure, you are more specific because you're not addressing a market that is still existing, but you can still have some global market study you can compare, and you can adapt this market study to your market, specific market. And the other way, so this is a top-down approach, let's say, and the other way is to do it like bottom-up. Just like you can start with like explaining the pain of your customers, and how you will respond to this pain. And after being able to size the number of customers that need your product because they are actually looking for something that resolve their problem. So yeah, but this is not an easy exercise. That's for
Indeed,
sure.
and it's the same when it comes to, I mean, all topic about regulation. So, I mean, we are currently supporting a lot of deep tech companies at Bpifrance, not only French ones, but from early to late stage. And in particular, I mean, I'm working with the EAC on the EAC Scaling Club. So it's mainly Series B companies. They are all facing this challenge about I mean, to attract lead investors in deep tech. So this is not easy. So that's why also there are this kind of support from the EAC, which are not really easy to access, to be honest. I mean, my personal opinion. But indeed, I mean, that's a real challenge also for you. I mean, for as a founder. So I don't have really I mean, a specific answer to give today, but yeah. So at least we try to support companies by providing some advice on that. But if you can speed up with the sales also, or to have any kind, again, of interest, traction, if you have partnership with some corporates to do some co-developments, or you can always try. So what we try to do also at Bpifrance in our team is to accelerate the development of companies by connecting startup with some scale-up or other small and medium-sized company. Also for some joint ventures, sometimes it could be also some interesting. So Elena, you mentioned that we have some activity with the Development Bank of Canada. And typically,
Yes.
this is really what we are trying to do with them. So we connect some of their portfolio companies, early stage companies, to much more late stage European companies. They can do some co-developments, so they can join forces to get also access to market faster. This is also something that you could consider. So there are some European projects also to finance this kind of initiative. So that could be also so interesting to check. And maybe
Can I ask? Oh, sorry.
sorry,
Please
Elena,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No,
That's okay.
I have another
I-
question, so if you go ahead, please.
Yes. I would like to know how you define the market size? How do you consider whether a market is small or a big one, a sufficient one? Because I think there is a big difference,
Well,
at least between the two countries, Greece and France.
so yeah, so imagine like you're coming, like you do your market size, and the conclusion is my market size is 10 million of euros. It means that your revenues, if you have 100% of this market, so you sell to everyone, the maximum you can have in your financial, in your revenue, it's 10 million of euros. And that's really, I mean, for us investors, it's very small. This is not our investment thesis to invest like in, as I said, like we are taking a lot of risks, so we expect a big return. So we see big, and so this is why a big market for us is like important. But the opposite is like if you have a market like 1 billion and you have like 50 people doing exactly the same thing in the same way, that's also a problem, because you have a huge market, but how do you address this market and how do you differentiate yourself on this market? So
and this is really, I think this is the slide I shown previously, Claire, about the total available markets, serviceable available markets, and serviceable obtainable markets. So you have to show that it's huge markets. So there are a lot of opportunities in in this big market. I don't know, in the automotive sector, for example. But then there is the serviceable available markets. So the market segment targeted by your products and services in a very specific geographic area. And then there is the obtainable one. So it's really specific to, again, to your access to markets, to your business model as well. So you can show that the market is huge, but you know that you have well identified the key players, and you know that there is an issue maybe in this sector, in this market, but for something really specific, and you can address it. And then you can already take this opportunity, and of course, then you can grow because you can address different subsectors, sub-market, let's say. I will call that the sub-markets.
Maybe I can take a very specific example of a portfolio company we have. They are building a rocket. So a rocket to launch 200 kilos in space. So it's a pretty new market because there's only one rocket doing that in the world. So it's very specific and pretty hard to address. So the first way we were looking into this market is, okay, this rocket can take satellites that are under 200 kilos. And you can find some market study about this, like all the prediction of how many satellites will be launched in the next few years. and you can segment it regarding their weights. So this is one way you can address the market. And after, you can do it in a more specific way, like who are these customers who are building these satellites who are less than 200 kilos? Okay, these customers looks to be Earth observation guys that are building this kind of satellites. So, and who are these people doing Earth observation? And you can, okay, in France, we have, for example, 10 projects doing Earth observation, and it represents today, I don't know, I'm saying it's not correct, but they are doing, every one of them are doing 100 satellites of less than 200 kilos. So in France, you know that you have 10 times 100 satellites to be launched, and then you can expand it to European project and worldwide project. So yeah, you just find a way. It's not 100% sure, but just it's like a demonstration.
Great, thank you, Claire. It's very valuable. And I mean, I had also this question that I wanted to ask you, Claire, about, because I know that then you have a board meeting, but about how you define valuation. I mean, how should the community define the valuation during a seed round, for example?
Well, I guess valuation at this stage, when you're in when you're a startup, it's like pretty simple mathematics. You don't need to build a discounted cash flow, like a very complicated Excel sheet. No need for that. I think the first step would be, as we were talking just before, identifying which is your next big step on your roadmap. What do you need to achieve this next big step, and how much does it cost you? So this is a good way of sizing the financing amount you need. And what you should have in mind is that early stage dilution should be maximum between 30 to 40%. So for example, if you're looking for 1 million of euros, and your pre-money valuation is 1 million of euros, it means that your post-money valuation is 2 million of euros. So your dilution is 50%. So then you know that something is maybe wrong. So you have to adapt either the amount of money you're looking for, or you have to change to adapt your valuation. And I think after the second step, which is a good thing to do, is just to compare yourself with others, talk to people who are doing the same, to understand how they were evaluated, or to go on databases just to see how your competitors have their valuation set up. So yeah, I think if you are offering like a valuation that is too far away from the market expectation, it can be also a deal breaker.
Great. Thank you so much, Claire, for all these explanations. Do we have also a question?
There's also another, yes, for a product with some cleaning products, as you can see. Would you like to read
this
it
is
to
an
you?
example, right, from the previous
Yes.
question. Okay, I think, what do you consider an investment? Do you see the question, Claire?
For a product with total available market.
So the question is if looking for 2 million euros regarding this kind of market.
This is the question. Would you consider an investment of 2 million of euros?
Exactly.
Well, I would need more information, that's for sure. But I think the market size is pretty exciting. Yeah.
Great.
I don't have a lot of information, but yeah, if you say my total market is like billion of euros, and my service obtainable market is like 100 million of euros, that's huge. So
I think so. There is another question about how do you evaluate the team? So that's a good question. I mean, I discuss a lot about it. So I mean, it's do you want me to answer, Claire, or Do you want?
Yeah, go for it. I can complete after.
Okay, sure. So I mean, I'm not investors. I'm not part of your team, Claire. But so what I know is that I mean the investor. I mean, when I discuss with them, they really like also some. If you have already some previous experiences as founders, some successful exits, of course. But if you have also a nice board of advisors as well, with very specific skills in the market you are targeting, expertise and so on. So also different background in the team. So you could have someone really dedicated to the technology and someone really, business oriented, let's say. So it's really the complementary of different people. So it's not only about, so let's say, the study, the business school, universities. So yeah, I think it counts, but it's not what could make the differences. It's also about the, I would say, about the spirit of people, the mindset. I think this is something also very important.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's not about your educational background, but more about the vision you have of your company. When you are at seed stage, early stage, you don't have a lot to show. So the thing you can be good at is like at demonstration. Demonstrate your capacity to anticipate, your capacity to recruit or surround yourself, your capacity to connect with the right people, your level of energy. So yeah, the team is very important, and but it's not about like which degree you have. I mean, this is not the way I see it.
Do we have other questions?
No. As far as I can see, not from now. I have some questions.
Sure.
But I know that Clarice must leave due to another commitment.
Soon,
right?
but I can answer some questions. No
great.
problem.
Maybe
Great.
there is another question. What is the credible attraction?
Yes.
So that's that's a good question again. So I think it depends on which stage you are. If you're early, late stage, depending also on the sectors, and then it's also depend on the investors. I know that I discussed with some European investors a few days ago, and we always have this discussion about Series A. Some of them say, okay, we need just not a lot of traction. We are just looking for 5 or 10 million euros revenue. So, and sometimes it's only like 100,000 euros. So I think also here it's about the investor you are targeted. So this is something I see very frequently with some companies. You have to do some research on the investors, the fund. You cannot target like 100. You cannot have a list of 100 investors. You have to do also some work on that. Then it really depends on each investors. So I also know that there are some, for example, so I went in London yesterday. I met some early stage investors. So they say that they invest in seed stage, but they ask for 1 million revenue. So sometimes it's a bit different. So I will say for me, a good traction is that you already have some. If you are like, let's say a seed stage, looking for the first round, let's say, you should have some letter of interest or some maybe potential pilots to do with corporates, or if you are doing mainly a B2C or a SaaS model, let's say only few users. So it really depends also on your business model and the sector. So I don't know, Claire, if you want to elaborate on that.
No,
I
I
it could
totally
be
agree.
totally different.
Depends of the investor you're targeting, because, for example, in my case, I told you about the rocket company, and I have other examples, but they are not making any revenues. So, and they are not going to make any revenues for the next few years. So,
it could be also.
But what is important is to, even if you're not doing revenues, for us, what is important is exactly is like the demonstration that you will be able to make revenues. So your market, your team, the discussion you can have with customers, the letter of
partners, I
intent
mean,
you can have.
I was thinking about the partnership you have, because you can always sign a good agreement with, even if, I mean, you can deal with some corporates. Maybe they are not using your product because it's not ready, but you sign a letter of interest, or you do some co-development with them. So it's just some good signal, let's say. So meaning that there is interest from the markets, from the key players. So I mean, I met one very early stage companies, and it was really impressive, because it was really early stage, but they had a great product, and they had also like 10 or 15 letter of interest from very well-known corporates, because they spent some time to discuss with key people to say, okay, we have identified this problem and we are working on a solution for you. So are you ready to discuss and to co-develop it with us? So then they receive some letter of interest. So just, okay, there is a problem in this market and they want to solve it, and potentially they will have some customers. So there is always a way to show that there is interest. I will not say only traction, it's really interest from the market. I mean, it's also thanks to the advisory you could have, so they can demonstrate that there is an interest for the markets.
So you consider the letter of intent very, very important?
For me, yes, because I've seen in the past that some very early stage companies, then they were able to raise some fund because they had this kind of letter of interest coming from the market. So the market decide at the end. So if you are able also to convince people to sign something from a big corporate, just to say, okay, we are interested to know more and to go further, maybe one day with you. So that's good signal. I mean, it's always better than nothing. So if you are able also to reach out to these people, to have meeting with them, so to show that you already have like a sales funnel with potential, ongoing discussion and so on. So that's good. Because sometimes my feeling is that there are some companies, of course, looking for funds, but they forget sometimes the business. So I know that it's not so easy, because you need some money to develop, but you can always discuss with people, try to have some connection. Yeah.
And what about patents?
I mean, this one is also very important because it creates also some value, and it's also it's another kind of traction for me. So this is also different, but it creates a lot of value. So indeed, I mean, if you can show that you have patents, so of course it's something very important. So yeah.
Another question.
Yeah, can we interview an investor?
Yes.
Of course you can. Well, I think it's even good to interview an investor. I mean, if I understand well the question is like, can I ask also a question to the investor? Or it's like it's like a kind of couple, because when you have like an investor, he's investing in the company, and he might, there's a big chance, he will be at your strategic committee for a few years. So like every 3 months you will meet with him, you will you will need to discuss a lot with him often. So it's good you have a good understanding of his expectation before you sign. And you can ask him like what is his ticket range, like how much amount of money he can invest in now, and he can invest also later. Is he a lead investor or a follower investor? What kind of governance? What kind of governance? I forgot the name in English, but he wants to vote in the board, in the strategic committee, or he doesn't want to vote. That's also an important question to ask. So yeah, I think it's good to ask him also some question. Don't be scared of that.
Yeah, indeed.
But this can also be the topic of another webinar. in InnoAgora to have an investor.
No, we will do the reverse pitch indeed. So they will explain their investment thesis, and you will be able to ask them some questions. But indeed, I think it's all about trust. Claire mentioned it. It's very important if you need a bridge round at one time, and they're there to support you and to open also some doors. So that's why it's always interesting to have some strategic investors, so they can bring, of course, some money, but they can do more. I know that at Bpifrance, so Claire and other team, investment team, so they do it. So they really support companies. So if they have connection with corporates or with other investors for the next round. So, but you can ask questions. I mean, it's not only about money. So it's good to have the money, but this is not the only reason. So sometimes it's better to say. I know that some company they refuse to have some investors on board because of many reasons. But yeah, you have to be really careful about so that's why I said, so you don't have to target like 100 investors. Just make sure that you have a short list of very strategic investors for you. So then comes also the question about should we ask for a corporate venture fund or only venture fund, business angel, family offices? So there are also some differences, but you have to ask yourself the questions. So that's very important.
So, what do you consider from your perspective are the most common mistakes startups make when pitching to investors?
Good questions. So maybe I can answer first. So sometimes they say there are people saying we don't have any competitors, and for me, it's wrong to say that, because they could have some competitors, and it's not because there are. So I mean, for me, it's a good signal. It means that there is a market as well. So again, it's about your vision, how you see the market. So this is something that sometimes, I mean, we don't really recommend to say that. So it could happen that it's kind of new market. There are only few competitors, but just don't say that there is no competitors, because I'm sure that it's not true. So there are, of course, some people maybe working on it. They do it maybe differently. And that's good to have also competitors, because they can also open some market for you. I mean, more competitors mean maybe a bigger market as well.
So, yeah, I think this is one of the biggest mistake. That's for sure. And one mistake, I think I said it before, but what I often meet is like no clear explanation, and this happens a lot because you are building your project, so you as a founder, you know everything about your project, and it's very hard to take a step back and just imagine that the person in front of you doesn't know the product, doesn't know the market, nothing. It's totally new for the investor. So you have to have a good ability to explain things simple, and this is very hard, and this is a very common mistake that it's very hard to understand sometimes. Specifically on deep tech project, or when the founder is like a scientific, he can have a tendency to deep dive into some technical matters that are not necessarily we don't need them at this point to understand the project. So yeah.
And there is also this question about valuation. So sometimes, I mean, you have to be also very open, and you can trust investors, because sometimes I know that people are quite afraid. So it's a relationship between you and the investors. So be open as well to observation and recommendation.
Yeah.
So how can founders prepare for follow-up questions? Any tips on that? After their pitching, how can they prepare themselves? Do they have to exercise or do some homework. And one of the problems that they have is public speaking. They do not know how to speak in front of investors.
Mm.
And this is this is a major problem that we face, especially in InnoAgora. So how can they prepare themselves, or what do they have to do?
Training.
Training.
No, or also like we see many funders that they are not alone when they are like fundraising. They are often they have advisors or like investment bank to be with them, so they are not alone. And this investment bank is helping them how to build the pitch, how to talk, how to explain things, how to build the business plan. So if it's really a need, I think it's a good thing to have an investment bank because you're saving a lot of time. You can have good advices on how to address the investors. This investment bank also has have some contacts. So of course it's not for free. You have to pay the investment bank, but you have different way of paying this investment bank. Some will ask for a fee from the very beginning and a success fee on the fundraising, but you can negotiate that you don't want a fixed fee from the beginning, but only a success fee on the fundraising. And I think that can be an option when you really face this problem.
I think you're right, Claire. So I know that some people they just tell me that they are not really good at it. I mean, they need some support. So sometimes it's great because you can also focus on the business. Because I mean, to raise fund it takes time. And then you also have to focus on the business, on the product development. So if you're not so confident, you can always ask for some support. So it costs a bit, but that could be also very valuable. I mean, if you have a good support, a nice organization. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of players in this field. So I mean, we have also a network of great advisors and fundraisers, so that could support you. So I think that sometimes it could be really relevant. So I know that there are some investors, sometimes they don't really like it, but I mean, in majority, I think it's fine if they are well known or, I mean, they already have some track record. So yeah.
One last question. 2 or 3 tips, advice to startups.
Advice to startup. So
Yes.
do you want to start, Claire?
No, feel free. Feel free. Oh.
The first one.
There's another question.
Maybe
Yes.
maybe first one. I think it's very important. That's so you never know. So discuss with people, connect with people, tell the truth, and just again connect. It's always about. I mean, it's very often about people you meet. So you could have some opportunities to participate to some events, even if you think that it's not so relevant. You don't have time. You never know. So I mean, connect with people, engage with people, try to discuss, even if you think that they are competitors. So engage with them. I mean, all the successful company I know, they are really open-minded, and they discuss with so many people. So and the main feedback I receive from these people is that it's not me that is doing the business. It's thanks to the people I met. So this is one advice. It's just to try to discuss with people, connect with them.
Yeah, I cannot agree more on that. I think the startup ecosystem is like, and especially when you go to pitch in front of investors, is like a specific. You need to have also the good vocabulary to understand what are the expectation. And it's like it's a big ecosystem, but at the same time it's very small. So I think you have to train a lot and to talk a lot to understand like what is this ecosystem, what are the expectation, how you can grow, and that's only by, as Valentin said, talking to people, connect, train, and I think this is the best way to do it.
And focus on especially when you are looking for fund. Focus also on business. Don't forget that, because I know that some people, they spend a lot of time, so I understand it, but don't forget the business.
Great. There are also two questions from the audience. What is the range of equity should be diluted at the seed stage?
If I understand well the question, so this is about the dilution. How much dilution can you bear?
Stage?
Well, I think depends of your market, but I think a good range is like 20 to 35%, depending on your market, right? But well, you should, and it also depends on your equity story, because if you have like many, for example, now you're looking for 1 million, tomorrow you're looking for 10, after tomorrow you're looking for 50, and so on. So you know that you will have a lot of consecutive dilution. So you need to be careful how you have this, how the founders stay incentive. Sorry for my English, but I think 20 to 35% is a good range.
I think so, yeah.
The last investment we did, actually the amount of money they needed to reach the next stage was pretty big. So the dilution was like 40, a bit more than 40. But how as investors we can compensate that is like to give some ESOP plan to funders. So they have a way to exercise these ESOP things to get more capital in the future. But I think 40%, this is the maximum you can do in terms of dilution at seed stage, and that's a lot.
Okay, great. There is also another question.
Yes, I was reading the question. I think for this one, it's very interesting, but I should be curious to receive maybe more information also to discuss with Chris, because if you have already some commitment from investors, seems that you have also some traction. So maybe we could have a separate call, or because because what we do also sometimes, in my team, so if you have already some commitments looking for a lead investors, so we do like one-on-one call with company to support them and connect them with other potential investors. So that's good question. I need to think about it, to be really honest. I don't have the answer right now, but I'm happy to connect with Chris if it's possible, Elena.
Yes, he can send it to us via email, and we will send it to you. Great.
Perfect. Great. And I know, Claire, that you are running late for your board meeting. Sorry. So if you want, I can close.
Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope
Claire.
we answered your question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We truly appreciate your time and your insights that you share with us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Claire.
You too.
Thank you, Claire. Bye. So, so thank you, Elena, for this webinar.
Thank you very, very much for joining us today. A big thank once more to you, Valentin, for your support and your assistance, and it means a lot to us. Thank you, everyone, and we are looking forward to seeing you to our next webinar. Until next time, take care.
If needed, feel free to connect me with people, and I'm happy to connect later with them if there are any other questions. So always here to support. So
yes,
let me know. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
See you
very
soon.
much,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Isso,